So being biracial with the white mom is trending right now, and I just want to jump on this wagon. Dear black people, do you not see how harmful this is? Like, do you not? Let me give you some examples. You don't know what it's like to grow up mixed, because you don't realize that a lot of us deal with racism since day one all the time, and these are supposed to be with people that love us, aka our families. A lot of people on my mom's side of the family were Aryan Nation skinheads. I didn't know what the fuck that was as a kid, and I didn't understand why everybody looked at me different, or why there was certain people in my family that just would never say hello to me or my dad or my mom because they were disgusted. And I didn't understand that as a kid. I didn't get it. I thought I had something on my face the way they were looking at me. You know how hard it is to nonstop be told, like, wow, you have your mom's face with just dark skin, with a look of disgust on their face while they say it, and not know why they feel disgusted to say such things? It's confusing. You gain a complex and you just don't feel beautiful no matter how gorgeous you are. You change yourself. I straightened my hair every single day in high school so that people wouldn't run their fingers through my hair or try to pull my afro when I walked in the hallway. Like, there are so many things that we did to adjust to suburbia. Or how about going to school with my siblings who are white and I'm not, and everyone asking me if I was adopted from Africa as a joke because I'm the only black one? You know how much that fucking sucked? Like, nonstop being denied my own mother being my mother because of my skin color? Like, it was crazy. It's crazy. And then I get to college and people that look like me all of a sudden are denying my blackness, telling me I have to say I'm biracial and I can't say that I'm black. And that's the first time your blackness was ever denied, because your whole life that's all you've been seen as? Like, you know how fucking confusing that shit is? No, you don't.
Being raised by a white mother left me very ignorant, but also anti-black for many years in my life. And that's not something like I say with pride at all. I say it with a lot of shame. Now, I know that because of how I was raised, like, and because my dad didn't do his job as a black man, like being married to a white woman, that I guess it wasn't like my fault as a kid. But the more like work that I'm doing and the more, I don't know, I stepped away from like my mother, the more that I'm just sad, because I see all these ways that I was just being me. Like, I was just being the black biracial daughter that she had, but she made me shrink myself and made me fit into the spaces she wanted me to fit into so that she was comfortable and so that I made everybody else comfortable. And one of those things was like not wearing a bonnet like outside of the house or anything like that. Like, I remember we would like, you know, go to the stores and stuff, and if she would see especially a black woman like with her bonnet on, like she would say like such awful things that I'm not going to repeat. And I remember as a kid never understanding like what's the problem with that, like what is the problem. But the more that her hate and ignorance was said to me, the more that when I would go out and I would see like a black woman or a person of color with a bonnet on, I would think like, why are you coming out of the house like that? Like, that's not appropriate. The more that I wear and protect my hair in and outside of the home, the more my curls stay good and like stay healthy, not good, stay healthy. And that there's no shame, and there's nobody coming up to me saying anything, there's nobody looking at me funny. It was just my mom's own internal hatred for women of color, and the fact that she felt so confident to and proud to say those things around her biracial daughters that influenced my brain to think that it was an issue when it wasn't an issue. And I always knew it was an issue. But when your mother that raises you continues to be so toxic, I guess your brain starts to change. But it like makes me so sad, because I spent so many years not protecting my hair outside of the home because of what my mother said, and allowed myself to internalize that instead of just being proud of who I was and learning from other women of color on how to protect my hair.
The reason why there's such a difference between biracial children that have black moms versus the ones that don't is because when black men have children with non-black women, they don't raise their kids to be black. They raise them to be mixed or to be proud of whatever heritage that the mom is. Versus when other races of men go out and have children with black women, they raise their children to be black and to love being black. And I am speaking from experience because I have a black mother and I have a non-black father. But I am dark skinned, so I think I was going to have to be, black and proud either way. But I do have light skinned sisters, and my sisters were always raised to be proud of being black. They were always raised to be proud of their hair, and they were just taught that black women were the best thing walking this earth. But we know that most likely if that black man goes outside of his race to have them children anyway, he does not like black women. He does not like black people. Most likely he does not like being black. I'm not going to say all because I know somebody can't wait to jump in the comments and say, not me. My black dad loved being black even though he had babies with my white mama. But majority of the time, them even stepping outside of their race to have children is a racial insecurity that they have. So they don't see any beauty in being black anyway. So they're not going to raise their kids to be proud to be black or to just call themselves black. And I honestly think one of my biggest flexes is that nobody ever knows that my dad is not black until they see him or they see his mother. And it's like, yeah, bitch, because I'm black and I'm proud. I don't give a fuck about none of that mixed shit.
My mom was a racist white woman. And she hated black people, which is crazy because look at me, guys. I'm black. I'm black. And when I tell you, she used to ask me all the time why I didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin. I'm like, Mom, you're the one who ended up with the black man. Why are you asking me why I'm not light-skinned? Like, you should be asking yourself why I'm not light-skinned, okay? And throughout most embarrassing thing throughout elementary school through almost like beginning of high school, I would tell people I wasn't black because my mom was like determined and brainwashed me to believe that I wasn't black. So embarrassing. Why did people even talk to me? Like I was adamant I was not black, and when they would ask me, I'd be like, well, I'm not black, I don't know what you mean. And they were like, what the fuck do you think I mean? So embarrassing.
One of the things I noticed about my white mom is she didn't have any foundational relationships with black women, but yet had a myriad of black men in her circle. So when I see a biracial child being raised by a woman who doesn't even have black women in her proximity, but can tokenize black men, this indicates to me that there is a dislike for black women, and if they have a black daughter.
So in other words, let's just say black men hating on black women are partly responsible for this dynamic we are seeing today. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a big difference between a black man who genuinely has no hate toward black women and one who carries that hate in his heart. The one with hate, he's the one who usually ends up marrying a white woman who also never took the time to unlearn her own racism. And when that happens, when that union produces a mixed child, that child often ends up in trouble, not because of their skin, not because of the mindset, but because of the environment that they are raised around. So now sometimes it isn't even about the black man who's the problem. Sometimes he may not have any deep hate toward black women at all. The real issue can be, in the white woman who stepped into a relationship with a black man but never took the time to examine, confront, and unlearn the racism she grew up with. That unspoken blast show up in the parenting, and it affects the child so badly. So here's the difference we can't ignore. Mixed children raised by black mothers and white fathers are more often than not surrounded by more love and stronger cultural growing than those are raised by white mothers and black fathers. Black mothers naturally involve their mixed children in black communities. They teach them how to care for their hair. They talk to them about their blackness, and they help them understand where they fit in. Those children grow up knowing their roots, knowing their worth, and understanding both sides of who they are. But mixed kids raised by white moms, too often they are left without that same connection. They struggle to find where they belong because their mothers never truly learned how to, nurture that black side of their identity. That's why we're seeing such a clear difference in outcomes. Let's just continue watching these clips. Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll come back at the end of this video to give my full 2 cents. Let's continue watching.
If you're mixed and you got a white mom, stitch this.
I've been summoned. I understand where the original poster is coming from because I too have a white mom who really has always tried her hardest to affirm us in our black identity. But if I'm gonna keep it real, I feel like unless the black parent or the black father makes a concerted effort to bring their child up in blackness, we will be raised as white children. My father was a black man. I think he saw us as extensions of himself, so basically black children, and thought my work here is done, when in actuality, we grew up in a very white area, so we only really knew whiteness and what it meant to be a white kid, but very much feeling like an other. I have a lot of longer thoughts about parents in interracial relationships seeing their children as extensions of themselves, and I'd happy to elaborate on it if anybody wants to, but in the meantime, sorry babe, I don't think this is the hill to die on.
Biracial people are getting on TikTok and telling them all the things that their white mother did to them while growing up. And some of it obviously is going to be being called the N-word, being called colored, being called slaves. And I always like to point out that I keep telling y'all this shit. I keep telling y'all, and y'all want to fight me. Stop pretending that your mom was not racist. Stop writing in my comments, oh, not some, my mom. And it's like, you even commenting that on my post tells me everything I need to know. As soon as you come in my comments and you're like, as a white mom biracial, you're just a hater. Are you calling me the N-word? Because that's what I'm hearing. And then y'all want to prove so bad. And everyone knows that white mom biracials show up darker than black mom biracials. So y'all just be my mom is white. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just let us know. And I would just like to point out that your mother saying the N-word is a problem.
Things I didn't know about black people because I grew up raised by my white mom and my black dad. I didn't learn this until middle school. My best friend, she had to educate me. I had no idea how frequently black people wash their hair, and I was way too afraid to ask. By the time I got to middle school, I just assumed that black girls washed their hair way less than black boys because black girls had different styles in their hair. And I knew that they didn't take these styles out every day, and I knew that they would mess up if they touched water. So I just did not know. My best friend had to tell me that every time she took her braids out is when she washed her hair. So it was every few months or whatever. When I had my first boyfriend, he was mixed as well, but he had type 4 hair and he had dreads. He's the one that taught me you can wash your hair more than every few months. He said I could wash my hair every day if I wanted to, but I don't have to. So that's when I learned that. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't know how big church culture was in the black community. My parents did not see eye to eye with religious values, so they just decided to not have me baptized or identify with a religion. My dad is Christian, my mom is Catholic. I ended up going to church with another one of my best friends growing up, and that was my first time experiencing a black church session, and it was really interesting. It was beautiful. It was loud and rowdy, I guess what you'd picture on the TV show. So I guess I wasn't expecting it to be such a close match, but it was, and it was kind of cool. Definitely had repast food, even though it wasn't a repast. Now this one's gonna stir up a lot of controversy. Up until I was in late middle school, early high school, or actually past that, my mid high school, I did not know that white people should not. I just thought, I don't know what the fuck I thought. I didn't think about it clearly. I didn't know that wet dog scent was exclusive to white people. Black people just smell like outside. I didn't know that black moms did not play about their kitchen. My mom is very If you hungry, go look for something to eat. Any white friends that I had when I was very, very young, their moms was the same way. When I met my best friend, I tried that shit. That shit did not end well with her mom. I really didn't know, though. She wasn't me. She just like, I really didn't know. The last thing I want to share is that I did not know how badly dark-skinned people got bullied for being dark-skinned. I never realized that this was a problem within the community until I was in high school. A boy that I was friends with that I ended up dating later on, he frequently used to get bullied for being dark-skinned. And I used to just stand up for him all the time because, like, that shit used to blow me. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, and it would be the brown-skinned kids telling him that. I'm like, bro, like, what the fuck is y'all problem? Y'all almost the same color as he.
So I have a white mom, and yesterday she's like, well, Gisela, I just don't think you like me because I'm white, even though, you know, I'm your mom. She's like, do you ever forget that you are half white? And I had to tell her, Mom, do I look white to you? I don't think I look white. And when I said that, she just kind of stopped and was like, oh.
Come to the end of this conversation, I really want to leave you with something to think about when it comes to mixed children, especially the difference between those raised by white mothers versus those raised by black mothers. The truth is, the environment these kids grow up in shapes not only who they are themselves, but how they survive in a world that already tries to define them before they can even speak. So when you look closely, you start to notice a painful pattern. Mixed children with white mothers often face a higher chance of being emotionally affected, not because of who they are, but because of what's happening inside the very home that is supposed to protect them. And why is that, you may ask? Because some white women get into relationships with black men without ever taking the time to unlearn the racism they were raised with. They never unpack the biases, the microaggressions, the stereotypes that society has fed them all their lives. And when those unaddressed prejudices are left unchecked, they don't just disappear. They show up in the way, they raise their children. Imagine this for a second. Imagine being a child and hearing the N-word come out of your own mother's mouth. Imagine the woman who gave life to you, the person who's supposed to love you unconditionally, calling you a slave or making you feel like you're somehow less because of the black part of who you are. Imagine her saying something like, I don't think you love me that much because I am white. As if your existence, is some kind of betrayal. That is not just a careless comment. This is trauma. Okay? This is something a child carries for the rest of their lives, a wound that shapes how they see themselves, how they move through this world. And the heartbreaking reality is that this isn't rare. These stories are out there and they are real. Children growing up with these homes often wrestle with confusions, shame, and a deep sense of not belonging. They start to question their own worth, not because of the world outside, but because of the environment inside, the very place where they should be, feeling the safest. Now, when you compare the two, mixed children raised by black mothers, the difference is striking. Black mothers more often make sure their children are connected to their blackness. They involve them in the black community. They teach them how to care for their hair. They explain the history, the culture, and the pride that comes with being black. They help their children understand where they fit in this world and how to stand tall in it. These kids grow up knowing their roots. They grow up with a sense of love and belonging that protects them against a society that can be cruel. And that is why so many people notice that mixed children raised by black mothers and mixed children raised by white mothers, the difference is so huge. They know who they are. The ones raised by black mothers, they're natured, they grow up with values, they know their worth, they have someone who can guide them, someone who can teach them how to walk in both spaces without losing themselves. But here's the thing, this is not about saying that white mothers are bad. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, or that their interracial relationship is doomed. Love is love, but love without growth, without learning, without accountability can create harm. So if a white woman enters a relationship with a black man that never confronts her on racial biases, then she's bringing those biases into her home, into her parenting, and then ultimately into her child's heart. And that is where the danger lies and begins. So what can be done? Honestly, I don't know if there's a simple answer. We can't exactly tell black men who to marry. We can't legislate love. We can't stand at the altar and demand that someone prove they've unlearned everything, the racism before they say I do. And let's be real, some men are openly declaring their hate for black women. That's a whole different layer of pain, because it's not just about love anymore. It's about a deeper self-hate that ends up spilling over onto the next generation. What I do know is that conversations like this matter. Naming the problem matters. Sharing the stories matters, because silence only allows the cycle to continue. Maybe the first step is awareness. Maybe the first step is making sure that anyone who chooses to have a mixed child understands the responsibility that comes with raising a child. Because it's not just about loving your partner, it's about loving the identity of your child as well. So as you wrap up this, I really want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? What can be done in this situation, in situations like this? How do we break the cycle? How do we protect those children from the harm that comes with the parent who refuses to unlearn their own racial? Because I can sit here and share my thoughts, but this is a conversation that needs all of our voices. We need to talk about this. So go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Share your experiences if you have them. This is a space for us to talk, to reflect, and hopefully to find a way forward. So thank you so much for watching, for listening, and thank you for caring enough to reach up to this end if you've watched this entire video up to the end. So make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that every time I upload such videos, you'll be notified. I would definitely see you in my next video. Stay peaceful.